Hello, welcome back to my channel. My name is Sarah, and in this vlog, I'm going to be using a random number generator to choose the amount of pages I read every day for a week. So I have tried to do this before, however, with generating the numbers each and every day, it seemed like I was only getting high numbers. I wasn't getting any kind of variation in it. So I decided, thank you. So I decided that I am going to do the random number generator today for all 7 days, and I will do each number of pages accordingly for each day. So I have my random number generator. I already inputted the minimum is 50, the maximum is 200. Usually that's a pretty good range. My goal is to try and read 200 or more pages every day. However, with having 3 kids and having things that I need to get done outside of reading, that doesn't always happen, especially since Halloween is this week on Thursday. So of course my kids are extremely excited for that. So like I said, okay, so I have, let it focus. So I have my minimum of 200 and my minimum of 50 and my maximum of 200, and so we will generate. So the first day, which is today, I will be reading 150 pages. So I will screenshot that, and then we'll go again. Tomorrow, Tuesday, I will be reading 90 pages. Wednesday, I will be reading 188 pages. Hopefully we'll get a low number for Thursday, seeing as it's Halloween. Thursday, we will be reading 123 pages, so I think that's pretty reasonable. So then Friday, we will be reading 151 pages. Saturday, we'll be reading 71. Sunday, we'll be reading 108. And then finally, next Monday, we'll be reading 199 pages. Okay, so I think that's a pretty good mix of numbers. So not all of them are excessively high until we get to next Monday. And so I can kind of be prepared for that, but hopefully, usually Mondays I can get quite a bit of reading done, so hopefully next Monday is no different. Things will be kind of crazy next weekend because it'll be the end of hunting season, but right now my husband is up hunting, he's got camp set up, and so he will be away from home for the time being until he decides that he's either over it or he kills an elk. So I'm really excited to try this out. I'm gonna go jot down in my journal what numbers I got so that way I won't forget, but I do have the screenshots. And so like I said, today we will be starting with 150 pages, and I will be starting a brand new book because I attempted to start reading The Red Garden by Alice Hoffman last night, and I got about 55 pages in, but the more that I read, the more that I realized, as beautiful as the writing was, it was basically a collection of short stories following a town. And short stories just aren't my thing. I didn't get into it at all. This one, I have it right here. This one it's beautiful writing. I absolutely loved the writing style, and I do want to try more from her. However, this book, it wasn't even following specific characters because it was following like generations of people in this town and things that had happened, which isn't really my thing. So I ended up putting this one down. I got like 55 pages into it and I put it down. So I am going to be starting something new today, and no, I have no idea what that is. But I think what I'm going to do is pick some slips out of my TBR jar and maybe kind of incorporate that with this. So actually, yes, let's do that. I'm going to grab my jar and we're going to pick out 3 titles, and then I'll just choose one among those 3 that hopefully I want to read. So let's try it. Okay, so I have my jar right here. If you don't know, blue ones are ones that I've had the longest. Yellow ones are ones from this last year or so, and then the pink ones are my most recent purchases. So let's pick 3 out of here. We'll see what I get. Hopefully one of these I will want to try out. So the first one that we've got There we go. Is The Overnight Guest by Heather Gudenkauf. So this one is a thriller that I've had on my TBR Jar challenge before, and I decided to put it off because I haven't really been in the mood for thrillers because I just haven't been reading great ones. But I am really excited to try it. So it is very wintry setting. So let's pick this one. I think the paper's too thin. So then this one is The Fortunate Ones by Catherine Hoken. There it is. This one is a historical fiction that I don't really remember much about it. Oops. All right, and then that's third one. Let's choose one of the newer ones. We'll have one of each color. Focus. Alright, The Ocean at the End of the Lane by Neil Gaiman. There it is. Okay, so let me go grab The Overnight Guest and we'll look at the synopses and see what sounds the best. Okay, so here is The Overnight Guest. So first and foremost, we have The Fortunate Ones. This one is historical fiction, like I said, and it says, every day he stood exactly where he was directed. He listened for his number, shouted his answer in the freezing cold. He was ragged and he was starving, but he was alive. He was one of the fortunate ones whom fate had left standing, and he needed to stay that way for her. Germany, 1941. When Inga, all blonde curls and good manners, first locks eyes with Felix, she knows instinctively that he's off limits. Her staunchy proper parents will never approve of a working-class Jewish boy, but that doesn't make their shy first kiss less significant, or the moment they're torn apart less shocking. The next time they see each other, it is across the packed courtyard of a Nazi concentration camp, Felix in the prisoners' ranks and Inga on the arm of her new Nazi husband. Inga never knew that her father's party loyalty would extend to marrying her off to a cruel Nazi officer twice her age. She has always been a good girl and now has become a silent wife. But when Inga sees Felix that day, beaten, bloody, and brave, she knows she can't stay silent any longer. She must save him, whatever the cost, whatever her husband or even her country might do to her later. Oh my goodness, that sounds so good. I forgot how good this sounds. I got this one a long time ago now, and I forgot how good it sounded. It says, one of the reviews says, I could not put it down. Heartbreaking. The next one that we have is The Ocean at the End of the Lane by Neil Gaiman. Now, I've read a pretty minimal amount of books by Neil Gaiman. I think I read like The Sleeper and the Spindle, I think is what it's called, which is like his short story. And I really like that one, but I just don't tend to lean towards his books. So this one says, a middle-aged man returns to his childhood home to attend a funeral. Although the house he lived in is long gone, he is drawn to the farm at the end of the road, where, when he was 7, he encountered a most remarkable girl, Letty Hempstock, and her mother and grandmother. He hasn't thought of Letty in decades, and yet as he sits by the pond, a pond that she claimed was an ocean, behind the ramshackle old farmhouse where she once lived, the unremembered past comes flooding back. And it is a past too strange, too frightening, too dangerous to have happened to anyone, let alone a small boy. A groundbreaking work as delicate as a butterfly's wing and as menacing as a knife in the dark, The Ocean at the End of the Lane is told with a rare understanding of all that makes us human and shows the power of stories to reveal and shelter us from the darkness inside and out. So this one does sound really good, and it's pretty short, like it's really thin. So this one might be a great way to kick off this video. And then lastly, we have The Overnight Guest by Heather Gudenkauf. The reason that I put this one down partly too was because I started listening to it on audio, and there's just a lot of different perspectives right at the beginning, and I did not want to listen to it in that format with that many perspectives. I can't focus, I can't comprehend enough, I can't remember enough to be able to do that. So that was also the reason that I stopped reading this for now. So it says, a woman receives an unexpected visitor during a deadly snowstorm in this chilling thriller from New York Times bestselling author Heather Gudenkauf. She thought she was alone. True crime writer Wiley Lark doesn't mind being snowed in at the isolated farmhouse where she's retreated to write her new book, A Cozy Fire, Complete Silence. It would be perfect if not for the fact that decades earlier, at this very house, 2 people were murdered in cold blood and a girl disappeared without a trace. As the storm worsens, Wiley finds herself trapped inside the house, haunted by the secrets contained within its walls, haunted by secrets of her own. Then she discovers a small child in the snow just outside. After bringing the child inside for warmth and safety, she begins to search for answers. But soon it becomes clear that the farmhouse isn't as isolated as she thought, and someone is willing to do anything to find them. So it does sound really good. Honestly, all 3 of these sound really good, so that'd be kind of fun to do kind of a TBR jar challenge within this reading challenge, which is might be what I try to do. So I will try out maybe the first chapters of these books and see which one really piques my interest. Can I see Sinker? I'll try out the first chapters in each of these books, see which one really sucks me in, and I will start my page count. Because like I said, we're shooting for 150 pages. So wish me luck this week. We'll see how it goes. Okay guys, so I wanted to come on here and update you. So this morning before I came to town, I got a random number generator of 150 pages. And so far this morning I read 63. So what I did, obviously you would know because you just watched it, but I chose 3 titles from my jar and I said I was gonna go read the first chapter. Well, I didn't exactly do that, but I did get started with The Ocean at the End of the Lane by Neil Gaiman. So with this one, I'm up to chapter 7 in this one. So 65 pages in. And so far, I am not really sure what to think of this book. It's kind of wild. So this book is following a guy who goes back to his hometown, it sounds like for a funeral, and when he goes back he kind of finds himself going down memory lane and is remembering this girl that he was friends with when he was like 7 and she was 11. Her name was Letty, and they met kind of under unusual circumstances. So our main character, I don't even know if he has a name. But our main character, he lived with his parents and his little sister in this house, and it was a big house, but they started struggling for money, so they started renting out his room. One of their tenants that they had was some kind of a miner, like a coal miner or an opal miner, something along those lines. And he woke up one morning, our main character, the boy, he woke up one morning and went downstairs, asked his dad if he had brought home a comic book for him, because I guess he brought the comic book home every week for him to read Saturday mornings. And his dad's like, yeah, it's out in the backseat of the car. Well, he goes out to get it and the car's gone. Come to find out, somebody had stolen it, and the cops called his dad right after they found out that it was stolen and said that they'd found it. So they went down to retrieve it and found the miner guy, the tenant. He had committed suicide and was in the back seat of the car when they got there. And things kind of spiraled from there. So like when they were trying to take care of the scene and whatnot, our main character met Letty and her mother and her grandmother, and they have some kind of an affinity for, I don't even know, they're like some kind of a spirit. And this spirit that shows up after this man passed away believes that people will be happier with money, but they have a really weird way of giving it to them. So like the boy that's the main character in this wakes up with a coin lodged in his throat and is choking on it, and he has to get it out. And his little sister believes that he was throwing coins at her and her friends, even though he wasn't, because it was this spirit. And now this spirit seems to be like haunting him. So it's really strange. It's really strange, and I'm not really sure how I feel about it. So far, I really like his writing. I think it's really intriguing, and I'm very interested to see kind of what happens with this. I'm not entirely sure what all I'm reading 100% of the time, like what's happening, but it's interesting for sure. And it is creepy, like the way that he's describing certain things is just really it just gives you the chills, like it just gives you the creeps, because like he's talking about pulling something out of his foot and the way that it would feel, and it just like ugh. So I'm definitely intrigued. I mean, it's not, so far it's not like my favorite thing in the world, but I'm definitely interested to keep going. And see what happens with it. And like I said, I have read 63 pages, so I have about 87 pages left. So if you figure that I need to read approximately 150 pages today, that will get me to right here, which is chapter 14. And taking out the acknowledgments and the notes in the back, this book is only 178 pages, so I could read this book in its entirety today and get above my goal, which would be a great way to start this video. It'd be fantastic, and it would be one to get out of the jar, off my shelves, and then I can move on to the next one. So that's kind of my goal for this afternoon. So it is 2:30 right now. I have about an hour before I need to leave and go and pick up my kids from school. And then we are going to go and get their Halloween costumes. So it's very last minute because today is the 28th of October. So we're gonna go and get their Halloween costumes after school. I had to come down to town and get some groceries. So I'm just gonna kind of hang out for the next hour, read as much as I can, then we'll head up to the school and we'll go and get Halloween costumes and kind of go from there. So I'm probably planning something pretty simple for dinner tonight because my husband is not here, and probably gonna do something pretty simple since we'll be getting home a little bit later. And then we'll just have kind of a lazy evening at home, and I'll be able to read, and we'll probably keep watching Harry Potter because we started watching Harry Potter last night. My kids said they wanted to have a Harry Potter movie marathon, and they've never wanted to do that before, so that's really fun. So we started watching the first movie last night, but it was getting late and they were getting tired, so we stopped it. And so yeah, we'll probably finish watching that tonight, and I will keep reading this. Like I said, I'm hoping to finish it tonight, and we'll see how it goes. I don't know what to think of this one just yet. So I will check back in with you later on this evening when I've either finished this or I have just a little bit more thoughts for you. Good morning, guys. So it is 7:40 Tuesday morning, and I have an update for you since I did not update you last night. I got super tired, but I was like falling asleep reading this book. But I got up to page 170 last night. So I read 170 pages yesterday. My goal was 150. So I met that and I exceeded it, even not by too much, but I exceeded that. So I read 170 pages in that book, and then of course I went on and I finished the last chapter epilogue of this book. So I finished this book this morning, and I'm giving it like a 3.75. I thought that it was really interesting. I was really intrigued by it. I liked the writing style a lot, and it was kind of a wild ride, but for half the book I wasn't really sure what to think about it. I don't know. Something though just didn't 100% do it for me. I don't know if it was because of the fact that it was from a 7-year-old's perspective, or if it just, I don't know. I don't get into a ton of horror. I get into some horror. Like I loved Dead Silence, and I loved Pinata, but I just don't read a ton of horror. But I don't know. I thought it was really good though. I thought that I was kind of between like a 3.5 and a 4 stars with this, so I kind of just landed at a 3.75. Like I said, I liked the writing style. I thought it was really interesting, and I liked the descriptions of things. But like I said, just something didn't quite do it for me. I thought the ending kind of fell flat, but I thought it was good. I thought it was a really solid book, and especially considering that this book is only 178 pages. And so for being that short of a book, like I thought he really did a good job of making the story interesting, and it kind of almost makes you wonder, like it makes you feel like the whole thing is just in his head, because he doesn't remember any of it when he first goes to the pond. It's not until he's sitting there looking at the pond that he starts to remember everything that happened during that time. And he didn't remember any of that before. And then the women show up and they're telling him that he had been there before, periodically throughout his life, to come back and remember and think on things, which he didn't remember at all. So I thought that was really interesting as well. I thought it was a really interesting concept. I thought that it was definitely creepy for sure with the whole concept of this entity following him home. I don't know what it is. Apparently I like that when you have like some creepy, scary thing that just like follows you home, because Pinata does the same thing. But either way, I am super glad to say that I finished this book in its entirety almost yesterday. I really wanted to finish it last night, but I kind of just had to call it because I was so tired. So today I am supposed to read 90 pages, and so I'm going to pick up, I think, one of the other books that I pulled from the jar, whether that be The Overnight Guest or The Fortunate Ones, but I haven't decided yet. I might change my mind and pick something else, but those are kind of what I'm going to start with this morning and try them out and see, maybe with The Fortunate Ones, because I've had that one for a long time. So I think I might try and start that one this morning, see what if I get into that one. But either way, I'm going to start my count for my 90 pages for today, and I will update you later. I woke up and it was raining like crazy this morning, so it's like the perfect day to just be able to hang out and read. So that's what I'm going to do. I've got my coffee all ready to go, and my daughter and I are just kind of hanging out and watching YouTube right now. And so I'm just gonna start reading and see how much I get done today. Okay guys, so my rainy, lazy day at home has been pretty productive actually. It is 2:52 in the afternoon right now, and I have gotten my November TBR finished, filmed, edited, and it is currently uploading right now to YouTube for Thursday morning. And so I have that all done and situated, and I've also been reading The Fortunate Ones by Catherine Hoken. My goal for today was to read 90 pages. I am officially up to chapter 6, which means that I have read 92 pages so far. So anything after this point in the book, I am just over what I was hoping for today. And so far, this book has been very slow. We're following Inga and Felix. Inga is a German woman who is engaged to be married and then marries a high-ranking German doctor. And Felix is the son of a Jewish man who has gotten caught up in Germany in World War II. And so he has been sent to camps. Him and Inga met at a dance, and they kind of had a little fling for 5 minutes, and they met twice in this book. Inga gave him a fake name. She said her name was Hannah, even though it's not. And they've basically been pining over each other for the last like year and a half. And so she was just getting a tour of the camp that he works at, that her husband Max works at, and she spots Felix across the courtyard being brought into the camp as one of the inmates or one of the prisoners. And now she's kind of losing it because she knows him and has been thinking about him for the last year or whatever. And so that's pretty much what has happened so far. She believes that she needs to be like the perfect German wife, but at the same time, like, she says that she was just a girl when she first got engaged to Max, which is true. She was like, I think she was just barely 18. And yeah, so far I don't know, it's been really, really slow. It's not anything amazing right now. I think it's interesting, but it's just really slow, and like, I don't know, I'm kind of bored with it, but I am trying to get further into this. I'm hoping now that things are starting to happen with the camps and him being taken to the camps and her seeing him at the camps, I'm hoping that things are going to start to pick up and get more interesting. This book is 335 pages, so I'm almost a third of the way through, and so I'm really hoping that things are going to start to kind of progress, because it feels like the first 90 pages of this has been extremely slow. So it has been raining on and off all day, rain, hail, all that. But like I said, I wanted to come on and update you that I've finished my reading for today officially. I'm going to keep track though and see how far I get today, because I would like to keep track of all the pages that I read each day to kind of have like a running total at the end of this video of how many pages I read during this week. I will check back in with you either later on this evening or possibly tomorrow morning. Hey guys, so I haven't read too much more of The Fortunate Ones since I last updated you, just a couple of chapters. I'm on page 124, but I was thinking about it as I got ready to come down to the bus stop, and I think my biggest issue with this book right now is Inga and Felix met each other twice. They've seen each other a total of 3 times. Seen each other, period. Whether it was talking to each other or kissing each other or just seeing each other through a window. They've seen each other 3 times. And they're talking about how in love they are. He doesn't even know her real name. She doesn't know anything about him. He doesn't know anything at all about her. But he's saying how in love with her they are. Or he is. Or whatever. And to me, that is ridiculous. I know that, like, I can understand, like, World War II, really terrible circumstances, terrible things are happening, and I can see that. And clinging to something that gives you hope. Absolutely. But they don't even know each other. They've seen each other 3 freaking times. It's ridiculous. Half their time that they spent when they actually were able to talk to each other was spent making out. Like, really. That was what I did. They danced together, they talked for a couple minutes, and then they started making out when they first met. And then the second time they met, they talked for a couple of minutes, and then they started making out. The third time, they didn't even talk to each other. They just saw each other through a window, and that was it. Like, it's ridiculous. They don't know anything about each other, and they're saying how in love with each other they are, and it's ridiculous. And I don't like that at all. I get that it's supposed to be a love story and it's supposed to be so cute and so sweet and stuff, but it's not believable to me at all. Like, it's not. And I think that's my problem with this, and that's why, like, I feel like with this one I'm just rolling my eyes more than anything, because I'm starting to almost not want to read this anymore because it's driving me so crazy. Because that is the central point of this book, is their love story. But it's not even a love story. It's just they saw each other and they obsessed over each other even though they didn't know anything about each other, and it gets them through the war. Like, okay, but it's not real. It's not, like, it doesn't feel like a real relationship. And, like, I've read a handful of romance books now, and so I think that that's my biggest thing, is that the romance books that I really, really enjoy is that they feel real. They don't feel like it's an instantaneous fall in love, head over heels, everything is perfect, fairy tale, happily ever after, because it's not like that. That's not real. That's not how things work. And I think that's my problem with this. Like, I want to see what happens to him, which thankfully I will say that at this point in the book, it is mainly from his perspective and what he's going through, not her. Because honestly, I don't really care about her. However, it's at least mainly from his perspective and what he's going through. But on the other side of that as well, he's actually been in pretty good circumstances for being in the camps. He's in with making counterfeit money. So he's, at least to start with, he's getting regular meals. He's got his own bunk. He's in a warm room. He's working. And he's not having to go out for roll calls and stuff like that. So he's actually in a really, really good position in these camps, at least to start with. And so everything's kind of like peachy keen, other than the fact that he's got to kind of watch his step and not be stupid. So it's kind of like, okay, yeah, he's in a worse situation, but at the same time, he's really not having it as bad as other people do, and other people that I've read about in these camps. And so, I don't know, I'm getting really frustrated with it, I think, and that's because the romance aspect of it, it's supposed to be a romantic historical fiction, but it doesn't feel real at all to me. There is no relationship. He's talking about how much he loves her, and there's literally nothing there. He doesn't even know her name. I don't know. I thought things were gonna pick up, and so far it hasn't really picked up. It's been more of like, things are so hard for him, but he's warm and fed and getting special treatment. So, I mean, it's not really picking up. So, I don't know. But that being said, I wanted to show you guys, like, this is what it looks like outside right now. Hold on. This has been what my day looks like. And it doesn't come through on the video, but it has been raining and crappy all day long. All day long. So, like, that's what my window looks like out my truck right now. Because it's been like this all day. So my husband says it's snowing. We're at his hunting camp, which doesn't surprise me. It's probably gonna snow up here tonight at this rate, and I am not ready for it at all. Like, I love the fall leaves. I love the rain and I love fall, but I am not ready for snow at all. So anyways, I'm gonna keep reading. And good morning and a happy Wednesday. So it is 7:10 in the morning on October 30th. Tomorrow is Halloween, and I wanted to check in with my reading. So on Monday, I had a goal of 150 pages, and I ended up reading 170. And then yesterday, I had a goal of 90 pages, and I completed that goal and exceeded that goal. And I read 197 pages. So I finished, or no, actually, sorry, scratch that. I read more than that. I read 205 pages because technically I finished the last 8 pages of the Ocean at the End of the Lane. So technically I read 205 pages yesterday. So my total so far is 375 pages in the last 2 days. That's pretty damn good. I'm really proud of that. So I am still reading The Fortunate Ones. I did end up continuing on. And I will say that Inga's character, I finally started to care about what was happening to her. Right here, chapter 12, which was 177 pages into this book. I finally started to care about her character at all and not completely despise her. So things are starting to go kind of haywire. It's the end of the war. Hitler is dead, and Felix is kind of trying to get his bearings of what comes next. The war is over. He is still alive. Now what does he do? Inga, on the other hand, because she is married to her high up Nazi doctor, Max, they are fleeing. And he has gotten to the point where he has been abusive and will hit her and whatnot. So beware of that if you pick this up. Max is just a complete douchebag. And he's basically said that you'll go where I tell you to go. And the only reason that I'm keeping you around is because you could have my kid. And if you don't do what I say, then I could potentially kill you. And nobody will know. They'll just see it as a loss from the war. So she's being forced to flee with Max. But he won't tell her where. And so yeah, it's getting really interesting. She overhears her husband and her mother-in-law saying that basically, like, if she dies in childbirth, it would be easier that way because they would be getting rid of a liability kind of a thing, which is really messed up. But yeah, so that's where I'm at with this book. I'm going to continue on with this today. I have about 138 pages left in this book. I will be continuing on reading this today. And my number generator for today gave me 188 pages. So that's actually kind of perfect. So I could finish this one and then I could read another 50 pages and something else, get a decent start on it for today. So far I'm really pleased with my reading. I'm really happy with what I've accomplished. I finished a book on Monday. I read more than half of a book yesterday that I will be finishing today. So far I've been doing really, really good with getting my reading done, exceeding my reading, and like I said, I've read over 300 pages in the last couple of days. So I'm doing really good with that. I'm gonna start reading this morning, and I'm going to keep track of my pages like I have been, but I wanted to check in with you and kind of update you and tell you where we are. So anyways, I will quit talking and I will get to reading, but I will check back in with you later on today to give you an update. Hey guys, so it is now 2:40 in the afternoon, and I just finished The Fortunate Ones by Catherine Hogan. I'm giving this 3 stars. I didn't like the insta-love. I felt like Inga's character was just very weak throughout the entire book, like until the last 10 pages or so. She was very weak constantly. Like, she was very much manipulated by Max, which was part of it, but she never really grew a pair, like not until the very end. And I didn't like that. I like reading books like The Rose Code, like The Alice Network, both by Kate Quinn, 2 of my favorite Kate Quinn books, one of my favorite historical fiction authors. I like reading female characters in The Traitor and The Taster by V.S. Alexander. Again, another favorite World War II historical fiction author. This one right here, strong female character. Absolutely love it. They're all in really, really crappy conditions, crappy circumstances, and they get through it and they fight it and they're strong. Inga was not that. So I thought this book was fine. The writing was fine, and it had things in it that I did like, and I liked Felix's perspective and how he just really had a really hard time after the war coming to grips with things and trying to rebuild his life. I really liked that aspect of it, but I did not like Inga's character. I did not like the perspective that she was written from. I didn't like the way that it was written. I also felt like this book did a lot of time jumps throughout the book, which to an extent I can understand that, but it felt like it happened really randomly. It wasn't just like the start of a chapter. You'd be in the middle of a chapter, there'd be a page break, and then it would be like 2 years later, or it would be talking about a memory from a year before and be like, but that was this day last year. So it was really weird that way, kind of playing around with like time jumps and stuff. I didn't like the way that was done, but this book, I thought it was good. It wasn't what I was looking for. It wasn't what I was wanting. It was more of like trying to be a romance when it wasn't exactly a romance than what I look for personally in historical fiction. And I wasn't super impressed with it. I felt like as difficult as things were in the camps, I felt like his experience with the camps were really glossed over. Like, I felt like he had a pretty easy time of it compared to some of them, and she could have really dove into that and like really explained some of the hardships that he could have faced and the hunger that he could have faced, but it wasn't. He got an out that gave him his own bed or his own cot and his own food and warmth and stuff like that with the war, with making counterfeit money. And so like he had a really easy time of it compared to some of the people that had experienced that during the war. And so I felt like she kind of took an easy way out with that. So overall, I am giving this 3 stars. So at this point today, I have read 138 pages. So since my goal was 188, I still have to read another 50 pages today, which should not be a problem. It is 2:47 right now because I've been talking for a bit. And so the next book that I had pulled from my jar is The Overnight Guest by Heather Goodenkoff. And I'm not entirely sure if I'm in the mood for a thriller. So what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to pull another couple of titles out of my jar. So that way I have a few to choose from and I can kind of pick up whatever sounds best to me right now, just because I don't know if this is what I'm wanting to read right now. Good morning, guys. So it's 5 o'clock on Halloween, Thursday, and I met my reading goal yesterday. So my goal was to read 188 pages yesterday, and when I counted up my pages, I had 228. So you add that plus 205 from Tuesday and 170 from Monday. So I'm at 603 pages for the week. I'm really proud of that. 3 days and I read over 600 pages. I started reading The Overnight Guest yesterday and got up to chapter 14. I'm almost 100 pages in, and this book is so good. I'm so glad that I ended up deciding to try it out and pick it up. It's from multiple different perspectives. One is present day, following Wiley. She's a true crime writer and basically writes about old murder cases, and she is living in a secluded cabin away from her ex-husband and her son and trying to finish her book, but she's been there for months. And she lets the dog out one night, and the dog finds something in the snow that makes the dog not want to come back to her. And come to find out, it was a little boy laying in the snow, and by some miracle he was still alive. And she's trying to figure out where this little boy came from and how the heck he got out there in the first place. She went out to explore and check it out and found that there was a car accident. There was a woman who was tangled up in barbed wire on the fence right next to the accident, but when she went back for the woman, she had disappeared. By the time that she got back to help the woman had disappeared. And so now she's alone with this little boy, and he won't speak, and she doesn't know anything about him, and she doesn't know how they got there. So there's that. And then there's this other perspective that's from 2000, like August of 2000, that is from apparently when the crimes happened, because it's following a little girl, Josie. I guess she's not super little. It says that she's like 13, who is having her best friend, Betsy, coming to spend the night and go to the fair with her and her family. And her dad and her brother keep getting into big fights because her brother is a teenager, old enough to drive, and keeps getting into trouble. And so the dad and the brother are very much at odds. And that night, her and Betsy sneak out of the house to go jump on the trampoline, and they hear something that sounds like gunshots. And they live in like a really rural area, so she recognizes the sound. And they see lights flash in the parents' bedroom in the house. And somebody comes out the house and starts chasing them, shoots Josie in the arm, and tries to follow her into the corn. And she doesn't know who it is. She doesn't know what happened. But the next morning, when it's finally light out again, she goes back to the house and finds her parents upstairs having been shot by a shotgun. She doesn't know where her brother is. She doesn't know where Betsy is. She is just obviously in shock. She's a young girl who just lost both of her parents and had somebody chase her into a cornfield. So of course she's terrified. And so that's the second perspective. And then the third perspective is from a little girl who we don't know who she is, but she spends a lot of time with her mom. She has an abusive father. It mentions there being slaps and punches and stuff like that. And so the father is abusive of the mother, but we don't really get a whole lot more than that. So this book is following those three perspectives, and it's very, very eerie. It's very secluded. It's very creepy. And I am so glad that I decided to pick this up again, because so far it is so good. I am so hooked into this and all the different things that are going on. I'm glad that I tried to read it physically rather than trying the audiobook again, because like I said, with it being multiple different perspectives, starting out that way makes it really, really difficult for me to follow in an audiobook, but reading it physically, I'm doing just fine. I'm just really enjoying this. So my page number for today is 123. So I've already read a couple of chapters in this morning. I've been up for like 40 minutes. So I've already read a couple chapters in this morning. So I've read 13 pages for my count. So technically I have like 110 pages left. I wanted to get a start on this because my husband is going to be packing up his hunting camp today and coming home, with it being Halloween. And so I don't know how much time I'm going to get to read throughout the day. Other than that, I think that's it for my updates this morning. Like I said, I've already read just a couple of short chapters in this. And that's the other thing, is that the chapters are really short, so it makes it fly by. And when jumping from different perspectives, like, you can't wait to get back to each perspective once you finish that chapter. And so it really makes you intrigued to keep reading. And so yeah, I'm gonna continue reading this as much as I can today. And if I don't finish my page count, I will add it on to tomorrow's. However, I'm gonna do what I can. So anyways, I'm gonna keep reading this today, and I will check back in with you possibly later on today if I have the opportunity, and give you updates as I can. That thing looks cool. He looked really tall in the pictures. Hey guys, what's up? Happy Friday, sorry. So it is officially November 1st. Yesterday was Halloween. I hope you all had a fun and safe and just a fantastic day yesterday. I did not end up reading as much as I thought I would. I ended up crashing last night once we got home. It was like 9 o'clock when we got home, and everybody just kind of got their pajamas on and crashed. So that being said, I did not read like I thought I would. I did end up reading 60 pages yesterday, so 123 minus the 60 pages that I read put us at 63 pages that I needed to add on today. So this is yesterday's 123. So today, the random number generator gave us 151. So if you add 63 plus that 151, that means 214 pages for today. It is 2 o'clock. I have not read more than just a couple of pages yet today, but I will do the best I can, and again, what I don't finish I'll add on to tomorrow. So the little pink tab I have in my book is where I started, so I've only read a couple pages like I said, but I am still reading The Overnight Guest. I am really loving this book. I think it's super interesting. It's dark and creepy and secluded, and I'm really enjoying it. I believe that tomorrow is a little bit of a smaller day. Yeah, so tomorrow I have 71 pages, so that'll help with having like a catch-up day if I need to. But like I said, today I have 214 pages to read. I've only read maybe 2 or 3 pages at most, but I am going to try to keep reading this today and make a dent in that. And hopefully, if everything goes well, I'd even be able to finish this, but I'm not going to get too excited about it. And I will talk to you guys either later on tonight or tomorrow when I have a little bit more to say, other than the fact that I didn't read very much. Good morning, guys, and happy Saturday. So yesterday I didn't do as much reading as I wanted to. So I needed to read 214 pages. I ended up reading 60. So that brought our count down to 154 pages left over that I did not read. However, it is 7:20 now, and I have been up for about 3 hours already. Don't ask me why. Don't ask me why. I'm normally up at 4:30 in the morning or right around then, and so this morning was no different. I woke up at 4:30 and I was totally awake and ready for my day. So I have been reading this morning, and out of that 154 pages that I needed to read that I had left over from yesterday, I've read 80. So a little bit of math on the trusty calculator. That means I have 74 pages left out of what I needed to read yesterday. So there's 74 pages there. I have about 34 to 30, I don't know. I have less than 40 pages left of this book. I'm almost finished with it. And hopefully the last little bit at the end doesn't completely just shit the bed, because that would suck. Because I've really liked this book so far. I have 74 pages left that I need to read from yesterday. But I also have 71 pages that I need to read today for this challenge. So the 74 plus the 71, just to make sure I've got the right numbers, I have 145 pages left that I need to read today. And honestly, I think I'm off to a great start. It's 7:20 in the morning, so the day is just beginning. And I don't have anything specific that I need to do today other than just like some cleaning. But I mean, that's not a big deal. I can do that with reading as well. So that's my plan for today. I am going to be finishing this, and then I will be deciding between the 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo, the Shari Lapena one, I think is The Couple Next Door, and then The Ventriloquists, which is the historical fiction that I pulled that I really need to read. So I'll be choosing between those 3. Honestly, as much as I need to read The Ventriloquists, I don't know if I want to pick it up, but I don't know. I'm just going to kind of see where things go, and I might... Who knows? Maybe I will pick it up and just try and get it read. So either way, I will finish this up. I will give you my final rating when I check back in later. And I think I can do it. I think I can do it, depending on what time my husband gets home. He went out hunting again this morning, so he was up early and out early. And so he is out right now. But I'll see what I can I can accomplish today. And usually thrillers are a pretty great way to do that, because thrillers and romance seem like they go really, really quickly. I'm gonna keep reading, and I will check back in with you guys later, and maybe once I've started something else. Okay, guys. So it's a little after 1 o'clock. It's about 1:15. I finished The Unwanted Guest, and I'm giving that a solid 4 stars. I thought it was really, really good. I thought the tension was fantastic throughout the book. However, I felt like the ending just kind of did fall off the bandwagon a little bit. I was definitely intrigued. It was interesting. It was just not as exciting as I hoped it would be, but it was still a really, really solid book throughout, like through the entirety of the book. So yeah, I'm giving that book 4 stars. And when I got done with that one, when I finished The Unwanted Guest, I had 111 pages left that I needed to read. So I started The Couple Next Door by Shari Lapena. This one is supposed to be a thriller where a baby goes missing, a 6-month-old baby goes missing, and we have no idea what happened. And so I've been reading this one since then. I'm on chapter 10. I'm up to 74 pages in this book. So I have about 38 pages left that I need to read. And at this point with this book, I am not sure what to think. I know that the last Shari Lapena book I read was pretty slow, but there was a lot of tension, and there was a lot of like pointing of fingers and whatnot, and a lot of questions about what was happening. But I was more invested in that book. Whereas with this one, it feels like it's more, they are desperate to get their daughter back, obviously, willing to go to any lengths to do so, obviously, which basically just leads to asking her parents for money to pay off whoever might have kidnapped her, while the police are trying to figure out who might have done it and whether or not the parents were responsible. And it's just, I don't really care at this point. I don't like the fact that it's a missing baby. I should have read the description more, because it does say, but one night they're at a dinner party next door, a terrible crime is committed. Suspicion immediately falls on the parents. So I guess it doesn't say technically what happens on the back, but I didn't realize it. And what you find out in the first chapter is that it's not just the fact that this little girl has gone missing. It's the fact that the parents left their 6-month-old daughter at their house alone, went next door to a party at their neighbor's, irregardless of whether or not that they had baby monitors and were checking on her every 30 minutes. They left her in the house alone to go next door to a party so that way they could drink wine and hang out with their neighbors. And it frustrates me so bad. It feels like it's so flat. The characters are so boring. And there's just so many things that, like, I mean, you don't like any of the characters. You can't trust any of the characters, just like with Not a Happy Family. But at the same time, it's like they're just stupid. So my point being with this is I have 38 pages, 37 pages, whatever, left that I need to read to complete my goal for today and be all caught up with my reading. However, I don't know if I want to keep reading this. This book is not that long. It's 308 pages, but I don't want to keep reading it. I looked up the reviews on Goodreads, and Books and Lala gave this 4 stars, and she said it was so good. But there were also other reviews that said that like the characters were flat and people were just stupid and this book sucked. So I don't know what to think. I don't know if I should try to keep reading it at least until I get to the end of my pages and then see if I still feel the same way, which is kind of what I'm debating on. And at the same time, I kind of want to just cut my losses and be done with it because I'm not enjoying my time with this like at all. I don't care. So I don't know. I think I'm going to try that. I'm going to try and read the last of my pages that I need to today, the next like 40 pages or so in this, which I believe I looked at it was like just another 4 chapters or so. It's like through chapter 13, I think. Try it out and see kind of how I feel at that point and decide if I want to try and finish it or if I'm going to just cut my losses and be done with it. The Fortunate Ones, I thought about DNFing that one a lot, but that one wasn't like excessively bad. This one is just, I'm not liking it at all. And so I don't know. I'm going to have a lot of reading to do on Monday because I'm not anticipating doing a lot of reading tomorrow as it's my husband's birthday. But I don't know. It might surprise us. We might end up having more time and just kind of relaxing around the house. I have no idea. But anyways, I'm going to get back to reading and I just want to come on and update you, but I will talk to you after a bit. Hey guys, so we're back. It's like 3 o'clock. It took me that long to read the 40 pages or whatever that I had in this. So technically I have 1 page left that I need to read. I think I'm off by like 1. But I'm calling it with the couple next door. I am DNFing this. I set it down for 20 minutes when I got up to page 110 and thought about, do I want to continue reading this for another 200 pages? And looking at the husband and wife that this follows and their parents and the neighbors and whatnot. And if I wanted to continue. And my thought was, I really don't care. So I am DNFing this. I'm not going to continue it because I just don't. I don't like it. I don't care for the plot. I like her writing. It's quick, it's easy to read, and I do enjoy her writing, and I would like to try something else by her. Maybe looking a little bit closer at the descriptions of the book. I just don't care, and I don't want to spend any more time reading this. I will come back with you, if not tonight, then hopefully tomorrow, let you know what I decided to pick up and how far I got in that book. So I will talk to you later. But just remember though, 1 page left, which means that I met my goal for today. So we are all caught up on the pages that I was supposed to have been reading, and now anything more that I read today after that single page is just additional reading that I'm going to do, which is very exciting. Hello. So it is Monday. It is the last official day of this reading challenge. I'll be honest, and I read about as much as I expected to yesterday. I read about 37 pages, which out of these 108 that I needed to read, that means that I have 71 that I need to add on to today. And our number for today is 199, our largest page count yet. So 199 plus 71 is 270. There we go. 199 plus 71 is 270. So I have 270 pages to read today. So far this morning I have read 50 pages. So I have 220 pages left. And I have been reading The Ventriloquist. So I am up to page 124 in this book. It does not start on page 1, which is part of the reason why I'm not sounds like I'm a lot further. It starts like 13 pages in. So I'm on 124. And so far, this book is a historical fiction, which is following newspapers that are told that they need to basically write stuff that is promoting Nazi Germany and Hitler and whatnot. And they've decided to undermine that by also doing a fake newspaper that. So this book at 124 pages, I will say the main thing that this book has that is a problem is that it suffers from way too many perspectives way too soon. You are introduced to like 7 or 8 different people right from the get-go that it's a lot. It's a lot. You have all these different names, all these different characters, all these different timelines that are going. So it starts out with yesterday. And what it says on that one is the Scrivener. I think that's how you say it, Scrivener. And that is more modern day of this book. This is from a journalist, I believe, a journalist perspective, who is talking to a woman who was involved with this paper years ago. And then you switch to this time, which is 2 days before Fossoir, which then goes into the different characters, the pyromaniac, the Dubuque, the jester, the smuggler, etc. And all of these are different people that you're introduced to. So this book is following a girl who is very young and she's just a street urchin, but she's dressed up as a boy, so everybody believes that she is a boy. But in reality, it's a young girl who sells newspapers, and she gets involved with this group of people who work for the papers, and they are recruited basically to write propaganda for the Nazis. And then they decide that as a way to keep their independence and do something against the Nazis, they're going to write a paper as well at the same time that is against them. And this is the process of them figuring out how to do that in about 3 weeks' time, and where to find the money and whatnot, and the connections that they're going to make to make this happen. And so far, the writing is fine. It's reading very quickly for what it is. But it's just too many people. It's too many perspectives. So like you're jumping around so much that like you don't care about anybody. You have to really focus and remember who is who. And I don't like that in a book. I don't like that in a historical fiction. It's one thing in a fantasy where they all come together and they all have their roles to play. And I know that that's going to be the same thing with this. However, it's just too much right from the start. And I don't like that. It makes it really hard to get involved in the story, and it makes it really hard to really care about these characters, which I know you're going to want to care about these characters as it goes on. And so I know it's going to be very important to care about these characters, but at this point I just don't, because of the way that this is written. And so that's my issue with it. Like I said, I am 124 pages into this, so this is going to be hopefully the last book that I am picking up for this vlog as well. I'm going to try to read all of it, but I'm not going to get ahead of myself here. So at this point, I've read 50 pages. I still need to read 220 pages, which will put me at 350 or so pages into this book. And this book is like 500 pages, so this book is really long. But at this point in the book, like, I'm not hating it, but I'm not loving it either. It's pretty mediocre. And so yeah, so that's where I'm at. Good morning, guys. So we are back once again with another sort of update. So I did not read 270 pages yesterday. I read 112. So that means that I have to push this into today, Tuesday, with 158 pages left to read. But with the ventriloquists, I think I'm gonna have to DNF it, because I am 189 pages into this book. So I'm almost 200 pages into this book, and I feel like nothing has happened. I feel like there's too many people. I don't care about any of them. And I just feel like pretty much nothing has happened. And there's still 12 days left until the newspaper comes out, according to the chapters. So I still have like 300 pages left in this book, and I don't want to continue. I don't want to pick this book up. I'm not excited to pick this book up. It's very dry. So I think I'm gonna have to call it with this one and DNF it. At this point, I can either pick up The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo and read 158 pages in that and try and get into that one, or I can start my TBR for November. I'm gonna think on it for a little bit, and once I decide, I will come back to you. But my sister and I are creating this wintry bingo board, and basically our goal is to be able to get a bingo by reading books that we already own, and once we get a bingo, we can buy a book. And we are trying it as like a trial run this year between her and I, just to see how things go, and then hopefully next year it'll be ready to be able to share with you guys. So I want to be able to build my tentative TBR for that. This is potentially going to be something that we start December 1st and it goes through January 31st. And her and I were talking about how it'd be fun to do little book tokens, or little like book cards for when you get a bingo, that you can have that. And so I started drawing these little mandrakes, and I'm so proud of these. They look so stinking cute, and I'm so excited about them. So I'm gonna work on that today as well, and do some reading, and I don't know, I'm just gonna kind of see what I feel like doing reading wise, and like I said, once I decide, I will come back and update you. Okay guys, a little bit of a change of angle. It is now 12:15 and I have read 100 pages, not in The Ventriloquists. So I ended up deciding to pick up Expiration Dates by Rebecca Searle. Rebecca Searle? I think it's Searle. I'm not sure how to say it exactly, but I decided to pick up Expiration Dates, and I am on chapter 15, so I'm almost 100 pages into this. Technically, I started out my day reading like one more chapter of The Ventriloquists before my kids went to school, and then I put it down and didn't want to pick it back up again. So I have read technically I've read 97 pages in this so far today, and I'm really enjoying it so far. Am I the only one who is rooting for the best friend, Hugo, to be the love interest? Like, this book, okay, let me backtrack here. So this book is following Daphne, who every time that she starts dating a guy, she gets a note that has their name and a time on it. So for instance, Stuart for one night, that has their name and an amount of time on it. And that's how long the relationship is going to last. And so she's still trying to find the guy that she is going to spend her life with, but she doesn't know how that is going to take shape with getting these notes. She doesn't know where they come from or why. It's just that it's happened for her entire life. And her best friend, Hugo, is actually a guy that she dated. Hugo is the only one who knows about the notes that she come to her about how long she's going to be in this relationship. And it kind of messes up her relationships to an extent. But I feel like it's also holding her back a lot from what could be potentially with somebody, because she thinks it's going to end after X amount of time. But she started dating this guy, Jake, and Jake is the first guy that she's ever gotten a name with no time limit. So she thinks that Jake is the one. Jake is very sweet, but there's a part of me that's just hoping that it's gonna be Hugo that she ends up spending her time with, because he knows about the notes, he knows about her, and he's always kind of been there irregardless of what's going on around them. Like, he's in a relationship more or less with somebody else while she's dating this guy Jake, but there's just a part of me that, like, I always hope for that best friend that has always been there for you to be the one. So That's what I'm rooting for right now. I don't really know anything about this book. I knew the general idea of this book. I had heard about it from other booktubers, that it is that she gets these notes and that's how long the relationship lasts, but I didn't really know much about it. So I'm like 60 pages away from meeting my goal for the day, but the part of the reason that I chose this book is because it's 254 pages, and so I thought it was really realistic for this to be one that I read today and finish today in its entirety, rather than having a book that I start with you guys, reading 160 pages of it, and then finishing it at some point later on down the road. So I am hoping this is one that I could potentially finish in its entirety today. I think that's extremely possible since I have about 160 pages left of the book. But I'm really enjoying this. I like the writing style a lot. It's a really quick read. I already feel like there is a genuine connection with her and Hugo and like their friendship. There's just something about it. Sometimes you get that click in your mind between two people, and sometimes you just don't, but they feel genuine, and I really like that. So I'm going to continue reading this. I will check back in with you in a little while, and so yeah. Good morning, guys. We are finally coming to a close for this vlog. It is now Wednesday, November 6th, and I have finished all of my pages. So as you know, I had to go into yesterday to finish out my pages from Monday. So this did go longer than I expected, but I'm really happy with what I achieved yesterday. So yesterday I had to read 158 pages. I finished this book yesterday. I read the book in its entirety, and I gave it 4 stars. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was really cute. I really like this plot. I just felt like our main character Daphne was too quick to throw away every single one of her relationships because of these notes. And she gained a best friend out of the situation, but I just felt like she was way too quick to discard people and like move on with her life looking for the next good thing, when she really should have just appreciated what she had, which I know that's kind of the point that we're getting at in the book, but it got kind of annoying because of that, so that's why I gave it 4 stars instead of 5. But otherwise, I thought it was a really quick, easy read. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was really cute, and I really liked the storyline. I thought Jake was really sweet, and I thought Hugo in his way, like he was really cocky and he was really arrogant, but at the same time he was really sweet, and he, overall, like, I mean, he was the best friend and he was always there for her, and I love that, and I think that's the sweetest thing ever. So I did finish that one, and then I did technically start Ready Player 2, but that is for a different conversation, so I'm not going to talk about that. So overall, yesterday I ended up reading 277 pages is what I ended up reading. And so when you add together all the pages that I read from Monday, last Monday, which was the 28th of October, up until yesterday, the 5th of November, so a week and a day, I have read a total of 1,397 pages in just over a week. Just over a week. I am so beyond proud of that. I think that that is fantastic. So, quick recap of everything that I read. I read The Ocean at the End of the Lane by Neil Gaiman. I gave this, I think, 4 stars. Oh no, I gave this one like a 3.75. Read it up to 4 stars. The next one that I read was The Fortunate Ones by Catherine Hoken. This is one that I've had on my TBR for a very long time, so I was really glad to pull this out of the jar. And I gave this one 3 stars. The next one that I read was The Overnight Guest by Heather Gudenkopf. I gave this one 4 stars. The next one that I picked up was The Couple Next Door. This one I did DNF, so I'm not going to rate that one. The next one that I attempted to read was The Ventriloquist. Now, I read 188 pages in this book, and I DNF'd this one as well. And then, of course, last but not least, I have Expiration Dates, which I gave 4 stars. So all of these I pulled out of my TBR jar, and I think I made a pretty solid attempt in the 2 that I did DNF and finished the rest of them. So I'm super proud of that. I never thought that I would actually be able to read this many books for a single video in this short of a time and be able to vlog it for you all in a video. So I'd say this was an absolute success for a TBR jar challenge combined with random number generator choosing my books for the week. So If you enjoyed this video, please like, comment, subscribe down below. Have you read any of these books? Do you have similar thoughts to me? Did you like any of them better? Did I make a mistake not finishing The Couple Next Door or The Ventriloquists? Let me know. If you liked this video and you would like to see me do something like this again, having the random number generator choose how many pages I read and combining that with the TBR jar challenge, let me know. I had a lot of fun with it and I'm really pleased with what I read for this video. Once again, I really hope that you enjoyed this, and I had such a great time filming this. And I have other things in the works already as well for you for next week. So at the very latest, I will see you hopefully next Thursday. So once again, if you enjoyed this video, please like, comment, subscribe down below. Let me know your thoughts on these books. If there's anything in particular that you would like to see me pick up, also let me know that as well. And I will catch you in the next one. Bye.